Well, peace be with you. It's so good to be back. I should say welcome back to me. And I should say also thank you again to the congregation for giving me this wonderful gift. I was on a summer sabbatical, and that's what congregations usually every 5 to 7 years will give their pastors this chance to recharge, to refresh, to actually come back, after those 5 years. And my call called for me to do it after 5 years, but I waited another year just because we needed to journey together through that 6th year together. So thank you. We made it through 6 years, and thank you so much. Thank you to Kate, who's traveling today, our moderator, keeping things going over the summer, our committee chairs. Thank you, Leah, and I think the flautist played also this summer. Yes, a wonderful gift of music from people. Thank you, Bill and Josh and others of our amazing summer preachers that we had. I am so grateful for this chance to be on sabbatical, to journey back in time and space to where, in many ways, I had received a call to be standing here today before you. It was just an amazing journey. The first part of my sabbatical, though, I spent on a writing retreat up in New Hampshire. A friend near Squam Lake, and I think someone online here knows all about Squam Lake, said, yeah, I can stay up there and write by the beautiful lake, but I would have to chop, 5 cords of wood and stack it, which was great. It was great. It was helping me to focus. We did have a machine that only broke down a few times, but it was the stacking. The stacking was difficult. But the story came together, and maybe I'll share that story with you someday too. But mostly for my sabbatical, I traveled, and I journeyed across the waters of the Pacific Ocean. There's a reason you go on YouTube and you find traveling across the Pacific, they always say why planes never go over the Pacific Ocean, they always go around it. It's just a lot of water, but that's was my backyard for 2 years growing up. I traveled to Pohnpei. I traveled through Guam and Chuuk to Kwajalein, Ibai, and Majuro. And those are some of the island groups in what is called Micronesia out in the Pacific Ocean. And it was just an amazing trip. So again, thank you so much. I chose today's scripture because it's also about traveling over water. The disciples were with Jesus. He had just fed the 5,000s of peoples on the west bank, the west side of Lake Gennesaret, or the Sea of Galilee. And then he told his disciples, go ahead to the other side. I'll see you over there. Just have to heal a few more people, talk to a few more people over here. Go ahead of me. And on that lake, we know what happened. How was that journey going across? Not well at all. And I had the New Living Translation read by Madeline say, because I love the words they have in there, they were in serious trouble, is that great translation. Just going to the other side of this lake, they're experienced fishermen, some of them. They should have known what they were doing, and they were freaking out and taking down water. And then they saw Jesus walking he decided to just take the shortcut, walk on the water over there, and got into the boat, everything was gone. And they made it to the other side. Now that's a summer vacation story, right? Isn't that an amazing story? One of the things we'll be doing is we'll be collecting some of your favorite summer locations, or just locations in general. So think about a favorite summer place right now in your mind. Maybe it's a back porch, something like that. We'll have a chance to share that later on. Unless I see, does anybody have a favorite place they went to this summer? Favorite place? Yes, where, Bill?
You already mentioned.
Oh, yes, the Squam. Yes, Squam Lake, yes. Anybody else have a favorite place? Yes. You went to Taiwan. Oh, I did too. I didn't see you there. I know. It's such a small place. Who else? Mary, where'd you go?
I like Cape Cod, New Hampshire.
Cape Cod, New Hampshire are great places to go. Yes, and places that feed our heart. Other places? Sure.
Hermit Crab Beach,
Hermit Crab Beach. Where is that?
so named by my son.
Oh,
It's on Washburn Island in East Valley.
beautiful.
Kayak.
Oh, that sounds like a great place to be. Kathy,
Kansas City.
you went to Kansas City on a Friday?
No.
You did? Oh. Was it really an okay concert? Amazing. Yes. She delivers. Actually, I hear that when she did some concerts in areas, it actually sets off a minor earthquake. Yeah, physically and also in the economy. I mean, it's just.
She donates to all the she goes and we have enough to go in the whole year.
Oh my goodness. She's coming here, right? I know. My cousin saw her but didn't invite me. So, that's amazing. What an amazing trip. I don't think we can top Kathy's trip to T Swift. Oh my goodness. That's it. That's the end of that questioning time. But my summer trip, perhaps like yours, was like the disciples crossing over a big body of water, thousands of miles. And I traveled, as I said, into my past because I grew up on a place called Kwajalein, which I quizzed you ahead of time. Kwajalein is what? An atoll and an island. It's the biggest island in the largest atoll in the world, in the most remote spot in the world from any continent. It's the most remote spot, which is, so it's just incredible to be there. It's really hard to get there, So I was really privileged and blessed that I could go back and experience that again. And so I have to tell you that I'm a Quad kid in a way. We had a Quad kid reunion. You have kind of a special bond when you're on the island. And I went back also into my past. That's where the Reverend Eldon Buck, Congregational United Church of Christ minister, was the Army chaplain for this island. It was an Army base. Let me show you a little bit more what it looks like, if I can find it here. I have to remember how to share the screen here. It's been 3 months. So, oh my goodness. So here we go, share screen here. There we go, share that. And it looks like a big mess, doesn't it? Okay, because I forgot how to do this. But I'm gonna go down here and open this file here. There we go. So this is Kwajalein. This is where I lived. The runway takes up 1/3 of the island. It's only 3 miles long, 1/3 of a mile wide. It's 8 feet high. High tide was always a little bit dicey, which is also climate change is really threatening the very existence of the place I used to call home. So this is where I lived. My dad got a job out there to test radars for Raytheon to try to stop and detect a nuclear missile attack from the Soviet Union. Because the most direct place for them to shoot is go over the North Pole and into the United States. And that's the same distance from California to Kwajalein. So they'd fire up missiles from California into outer space. They would come down into our lagoon. And they always assured us that every nuclear warhead was a dummy. So if it came into our atoll. And then my dad would be up at Mech Island helping to work with the radars. They would try to track these warheads coming in and stop them before they hit the island. So that's where I lived. It was an amazing place to live as a kid because it was a tropical paradise. We had lots of free stuff. There were boats. We had manicured lawns. It was a golf course, swimming pool, of course, saltwater swimming pool, and then you had the big swimming pool at the lagoon side and the ocean side. Amazing scuba diving happened out there, tennis courts, a high school, with about 6,000 people. It was like a small American town transplanted to a tropical paradise. And so this is, if I can do this right, that's the house I lived in. I went back and visited the house at 459A Poinsettia Avenue. Wouldn't you like to have a house on the equator like this? And if you're tall enough, you can actually see like the ocean and lagoon. So it's just a very small island. And it was a beautiful place to be. We went to something called Iman Beach. Iman is Marshallese for good. And that's what it would look like at night. I just took that picture about 4 weeks ago, and people were very apologetic. They said, "We're so sorry, this is not a good sunset." So it was like, and I remember the sunsets there were amazing. So that's you have the chairs out there, you have the little dock and jetty, and that was where I would go snorkeling and collect shells and see large sea skates and manta rays and sometimes barracuda. But it was an amazing place to grow up as a kid. I was so blessed, so blessed to be there, to do that. 2 miles away was another island. It was called Ebi. And Ebi is where a lot of native Micronesians, Marshallese, moved so they could have jobs on our island, the army base of Kwajalein. Ebi, when I went to visit it, and I was encouraged to visit it because the chaplain there said, we need to go on trips. We need to just get to know the people out here. But when I visited it, my heart was just broken by the poverty. It was super crowded. The place was a mess. And a lot of the people there were there also because they had been displaced by our atomic bomb test at Bikini and other islands, and we blew up their islands, and they can't ever go back. And so some of them came for jobs on Ebi, and at nightfall, they'd have to leave my beautiful, perfect American island and go back to the squalor of Ebi. And that just broke my heart. Just broke my heart. And so what was amazing is that we had the Protestant chaplain hired by the Army, Reverend Eldon Buck. He taught us songs in youth group in Marshallese, in Chukis, in Pohnpeian, and then got our youth group together, and my year was about 40 kids, and we had some adult advisors, and then we would go take a trip, like the disciples. We'd cross the waters with fear and trepidation to different congregations on the island group of Majuro, Laura and Rongrong, and also we'd go to Chuk and go to some places where the people in the village had never seen this type of presenting skin before, like white people. And the little kids would come up and try to pinch it off and laugh, "Why do you put all this white stuff on you?" And we would travel also to Pohnpei, where the people just would sing with such amazing voices, just this open-throated singing that still touches my heart. And so this is where we went, and on our journey there, my heart was broken again, because these people, in their faith and generosity, they just shared so much. It was just overwhelming, because I came from like the air-conditioned, perfect island of Kwajalein, and here they are, they're showering us with gifts, and it just broke my heart. So I went back, and because of this experience, I became a pastor, taking people on trips. But I basically went back to say thank you, and say, here's the 4 things I learned from Reverend Buck. You know, he created a safe space for us. We could ask any question, the joy of singing, and also Reverend Buck was someone who could take us on risky journeys across the water to meet people that looked or we thought were unlike us. And then I thank the Micronesians that I met over the summer. I even visited some of the same places that I went to as a teenager, saw some of the same people that are still there. And I said, thank you. And I said, you have taught me so much. One, you've taught me how to give. No one can outgive a Micronesian. This is true. And part of that, as I would say that, and the first question they'd say, what does outgive mean? It was a hard concept because they just give all the time. And I was like, okay, you are wonderfully at giving. And also their joy in singing just touches our souls. That's an incredible gift they've given me. I said, thank you. And also the way they create community was just amazing. It is amazing. The church, the family, gifts that we so much need in our communities where we are. And also, I said, thank you for teaching me how to navigate in life. Thank you for teaching me how to navigate in life. Because of the Micronesians, and because of my leader who took me to the Micronesians, my whole life was changed. And I learned how to navigate giving and to navigate. And yes, I would have back steps too, but that's the way I should go. They gave me that compass. They gave me a way to discern how to navigate through life and how it touched my heart to become a pastor too. So they have shown me the way. And because of them, I now take people on trips. And I was so delighted when I could take one of my churches, I took the youth group there to a youth gathering of 30,000 youth singing and praising God and doing mission projects. I have been blessed with able to lead people, adults and youth, to work at Habitat for Humanity. I have been blessed in helping to lead different youth groups from different churches to walk with the homeless, to partner with them, to go to what we think is the other, what we think are people who are so unlike us. And I said, thank you. So I worked with a pastor on Etsy. Do you know there's a lot of pastors on Etsy.com? You probably didn't know that. Well, there's one pastor there that designs stoles. And working with him, I designed this stole. And he hunted down and navigated through his contacts. He actually got patterns from Micronesian artists in Yap and Majuro. And that's what this is down here. These are native patterns from the island groups here, and combine it with a wave pattern. So talk about how, so I wanted to give this gift to the Micronesians. I want to say thank you, you who are the mighty navigators. They don't even use stars. They just use the waves and the water, who came in outrigger canoes over the waters. You are such a mighty navigators. Thank you for teaching me how to navigate in life. Thank you for the incredible gift you've given me, and through me, so many others that I have helped to touch in this life. Thank you, I said. And one other thing that I added on some of them is this symbol up here. I don't know if you can see that symbol. This is a symbol of a stick chart. And a stick chart is the way that Micronesians would teach, especially Marshallese, would teach the young people how to navigate. A stick chart has lots of bamboo, and it'd be cowrie shells attached to it. Cowrie shells resemble the islands. And the way they would teach them is they go out in an outrigger canoe, and they say, who's first? And someone would raise their hand, so they throw them overboard. And they say, listen, lie on your back and listen. And eventually they would teach them how to detect wave patterns from atolls hundreds of miles away. This is how they navigate in life. they have to listen. First, they throw them overboard, and then they say, listen, lie on your back, listen to the waves, because let's say you have a couple island groups, and so the current goes this way, they create wave patterns that will crisscross in certain ways at certain angles. And you can learn to listen to the ocean waves and navigate through life. And this particular one here is in the shape of a cross, the cross that teaches us how to navigate by the light of God, by the light of Christ. Also the stars that this wonderful pastor, Etsy.com designer sewed on here and then shipped me very quickly so I could give these away as gifts to the different pastors that I would meet. And I'll do just one last sharing of here, and because on this trip I gave away, as I said, some of those. Okay, there I am back on Kwajalein, and this church right here, that's the Donpei congregation. It's a Mokulese congregation on Pohnpei. And this congregation is one that I visited as a 15-year-old teenager with Reverend Buck. And I journeyed back again to say thank you, to reconnect with my roots, to be refreshed. I should be on a sabbatical. And this is, it was an amazing year. And so I gave this gift of a stole to Pastor Godaro Lauren. And there he is, 88 years old, waiting for me to come back and finally say thank you. And he is just always a wonderful delight. We get a picture of 3 people in a cafe, he'd be in the middle and say, well, obviously the most handsome one is in the middle. And it's always true, always true. And the choir, so it's again, the choir music was just absolutely amazing. I recorded some of their music when I was there, and it's always a cappella, and it's this full-throated singing. It's not like a Western opera sound. It's a very straight, open sound. It's just a beautiful sound. And then there's a picture of some of the congregation afterwards with Reverend Godaro in the middle wearing the stole that I gave him. So again, I was just so privileged, so fortunate to go back to say thank you, to say thank you. That was the purpose of my summer sabbatical trip. Micronesians are incredible navigators, and so my prayer for you today, is that, I should tell you, how does the lesson tie into everything I've been talking about? Okay, back to the lesson here. So, why were the disciples scared? Who knows why the disciples were scared?
Waves.
Waves, yes, the waves are coming. Why else? Wind. What's that? They could drown, yes. Why else? What's that? No guidance, yes, exactly. No guidance about where to go. Because where were they going?
The other side.
The other side. Who's on the other side? Okay, so they started from the west side, and if you look at the markers of the town names and where Jesus' ministry was, where he was born, that's the Jewish side. The west side, that's where the people of God, those are the people that are most familiar with us. The east side, they don't know anything about God. The foreigners. Why would we go? You shared the feeding of the 5,000s on this side. Why should we share this precious bread, first that feeds our body and feeds our soul, with them on the other side? So unlike us. And that's also why the disciples were saying, no, we can't go there. We can't go there. The wind and waves overcome them. We can't cross to the other side to be with them who don't look like us, who have different customs, talk differently. Jesus got in the boat and became still, and they crossed the other side. So my prayer for you is to learn and to keep learning. And I see lots of wonderful ways you are already doing this, of course, to navigate with compassion. Even when the going is rough, the wind is high, and you don't want to, what would they know about what's happening? So that's my prayer for you, to call upon the one who can step into our boat, and our leader who shows us how to navigate. Thanks be to God.